Yeah, welcome everybody. Also from my side, my name is Gordon Rapinski. I'm the executive editor for Politico in Germany, and I'm very honored to welcome Yulia Navalnaya on stage. Yulia is a person I don't think I need to introduce much, but I mean, you're an economist, a human rights and political activist, and you're also the widow of Alexei Navalny, which was something that happened right here, or the news broke right here 2 years ago, and I'm very honored to have you here on stage. Welcome, Yulia Navalnaya.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yulia, let's start with the news that just broke today. We have intelligence from 5 European countries that confirm that Alexei was poisoned with dog frog toxin in 2024, something that you have always considered, or you were sure even that it happened. Now we have the evidence. How do you feel about that?
I'm satisfied. I think it will be right to say that I'm satisfied. It's difficult for me to say that it's good news, you know, because my husband was killed. And of course, I knew that he was killed. He was very young man. He was less than 50. Yes, he had spent his last years in very torturing conditions, but I was sure that he cares about himself, that he thinks about his health. And it was obvious for me that we've seen him just one day before, yes, by video connection, but still, and he was laughing. He looked absolutely healthy, so it was obvious that something horrible happened with him, and I was sure that it's Vladimir Putin who killed him, and it's not the first time when it happened. Back to 2020, he was poisoned. Everybody knows about it, that he was poisoned with nerve agent Novichok, and there were a lot of evidences, and we did our own investigation, showing all these FSB officers who were following him for many years and then poisoned him during his trip in Siberia. So it was coming back to today's news. It was obvious for me that he was poisoned, that he was killed in this penal colony. We didn't know how exactly. We knew that it could take a long, long time to discover how it happened. But in this case, I really appreciate and very grateful to governments of the UK, Sweden, Netherlands, in Germany, that they did a kind of collaboration and just proved all the uncertainty is now dismissed, and we know that my husband was killed, and it's not just our investigation, it's an investigation of very, very scientific sources.
When that happened 2 years ago, it was certainly the strongest moment, a very emotional moment of the conference, you going on stage with that very, very recent news. You said on stage at that day, Vladimir Putin will be brought to justice. 2 years later, we're not there yet.
We are on this way. I'm sure that 2 years ago, a lot of you who participated in this conference and were here or all around the world and were following the news, that you were sure that it would be impossible to find the truth, how my husband was poisoned. That's why he was sent to this very far penal colony. That's why he was there. That's why it wasn't possible to meet with him. That's why it was, he all the time was alone in these penal cells. But we are in this way to justice. Now we have more proofs that Vladimir Putin is a killer, that he killed my husband, and I am sure, and I'm working on it very hard, that one day it will be justice for Vladimir Putin.
Do you have a particular expectations to the countries, not only investigating, but who can follow up on that?
Can you paraphrase?
Well, I mean, do you look? There are certainly geopolitical issues where other countries are dealing with Putin anyway. So it's not that this is the first law he's breaking.
It's how my life works. There are all the time some geopolitical and political issues, and sometimes, unfortunately, it takes much more and much more longer time. For example, as I said, several countries proved today that my husband was poisoned. But of course, we need to understand how it works. They need to negotiate between themselves to agree this statement together. And I appreciate that they find the strength, that they find the political will, and they did it together.
Would you say the West or the country that's opposing Putin is too weak on him?
Absolutely. Yes, I think that, of course, West could be much stronger against Putin. I couldn't say that West is afraid of him, but unfortunately, I would say they, not we, they are taking Putin like something like pure evil, but he's not. Who's Mr. Putin? Everybody is asking this question, has been asking this question for many, many, many years. And I think that now it's very obvious that Vladimir Putin is very simple dictator. He is nothing special. He does what every dictator does. He started from, I don't know, of course, stealing money from his own people, from repressions in his own country, from censorship. Now, afterwards, he started the war. He started to kill his political opponents. A lot of people are in prison because of political repressions. So he's doing what any dictator does. So we need to behave with him like with normal dictator.
Yesterday night, on the chair where you're sitting, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was sitting in an interview with my colleague Dasha Burns. And you've once said that the Ukrainian people and Zelensky and you have a common enemy, which is Vladimir Putin. How do you see your struggle against Putin? Is that somehow connected with the struggle of the Ukrainian people?
Unfortunately, you're putting us in the one side with just Ukrainian people or Vladimir Zelensky, like we have the same enemy. But I don't think that just we or like opposition movement against Vladimir Putin in Russia and outside Russia now have the mutual enemy with Ukrainian people and Vladimir Zelensky, but you too. You are in our side, and everybody here is in our side. So we all have this enemy who, in different reasons, of course, first of all, for Ukrainians, after the awful war, aggressive war which Vladimir Putin started against Ukraine. But the second point, of course, against his own country. And he puts people in prison. He poisons, and we know that he kills his own people, and he wants to threaten all the world.
Do you think it needs an end of the war between Russia and the Ukraine to basically get hold of Putin, or for the opposition in Russia to have a chance to succeed over Putin?
Well, I think that it's parallel questions. The war should be stopped immediately. It should never have been started, of course. But also, it's very important to understand that if we were able to be more strong against Putin, if we started to fight with him, not back to West started to fight with him, not back to 2022, but earlier, when we did, there were a lot of protests which were organized by my husband since 2011, when we were saying we were trying to put a lot of attention against Vladimir Putin regime, because we knew inside country that he is corrupted, that there is censorship, there are no free elections. How do you see
the chances that the Russian population rises against Putin. I mean, there's so much repression, and all the attempts that were there were basically,
So you're absolutely right. When there is such a high level of repression, of course, it's very difficult, and people are in fear and scared to raise their voices against Vladimir Putin. We are sitting here in this very nice hall, and people are drinking, I don't know, coffee and doing interesting things, and go to every day work to their offices. But just imagine that you liked something in social media, and the next day you will be in prison. I understand that it's very difficult to understand here. It's very difficult to understand, especially for Western European countries like Germany, France, because you have very long history of democracy now, much longer than Eastern European countries or than Russia. And you probably have already forgotten all the things. But when you know that just for like in social media or just to go to the street and to say no war, you can be imprisoned and you wouldn't be able to meet with your families for years, of course it scares you a lot. And not all these normal, ordinary people, they could be heroes. So they're absolutely normal people, and of course they're afraid to happen in prison the next day.
When we met last time in December in Brussels, we were speaking, and you were telling about your, I believe, letters that were written to you. You were asking for letters to be written by the Russian population. Can you share that again? Like, how much? What do you think about? What do you learn from the letters that you are receiving from Russian oppositionists?
The situation inside Russia is not so good and so united like Vladimir Putin would love you think is, because a lot of people write me about very poor economic situation. I would say it's more than 70% of these letters, and I got a lot. People write that they live very poor life. They don't have money for very essential things. That's why I think it's very important to mention. Also, people write a lot about censorship. Also, people write a lot about banned social media. Because Russia, actually, last 20 years probably, Russia was very technologically advanced. So we had very young internet, and it was developing very fast. And we used to have, very good, services through the internet. And now it's banned. We have less every day, and people started to feel it on their own. When you are not able to ring or to get messages from your neighbors or to use your bank account, online bank account. So you start to feel it, that something is going on in your country on your own. And it's important. It shows, of course, people who write me, mostly they are with opposition views, and they against Putin. But it's very common knowledge, and it's very, as I said to you, it's about a lot of letters that people write that economic conditions inside Russia are not very good.
But are those letters of hopelessness, or letters that actually express hope if this or that happens?
I got a lot of letters from young people. Mostly they are from young people. What shows me that it's more letters about hope. They want people who represent them. They want to share their thoughts. Probably they show that they have difficult life. They have a lot of difficulties, but still they want to be involved. They want to participate in different ways in what is going on, and they want people who represent them around the world.
And when you look at what your husband has done as an opposition leader, do you see individuals or groups or powerful people or less powerful people that can actually step into the shoes of your husband, take over that strong role as an opposition leader?
There are a lot of people who are fighting against Vladimir Putin. As we see now, it's not possible to do inside Russia, but outside there are a lot of people who are very vocal, who are standing against Putin's regime, who are standing against war in Ukraine. There are a lot of activists, there are a lot of civil society projects, and all leaders of these projects will be, I hope, one day come back and will be moving force of changes inside Russia.
I mean, when Putin came into power in the early years, so he was even speaking in the German parliament, and there were many people who were thinking, well, this might be a reformed person.
That's how it works in Germany. If you come and speak German here,
then you think you won over the population. Yeah. You think that's what it takes to win over the Germans already?
I don't know.
Did we all
you tell me.
Did we all underestimate him, or did we do wrong decisions?
You overestimate him. I understand why, because Yeltsin wasn't very... And inside Russia, people overestimate him as well, because Putin was very young. He didn't drink compared to Yeltsin. He gave a hope, but, for example, for my husband, and he writes it in his book, that we never had a big hope on Putin because we knew from the beginning what means that he is KGB agent, and he all the time wanted and wants to come back to Soviet Union and to build all the Soviet Union's scheme with censorship, with just one opinion, and to lead the country all his life.
Do you think, in retrospect, opportunities were missed where he could have been stopped?
No, I don't think so, because if I thought so, I would never do what I'm doing now. I think that to be politician, to have a big hope, to think about future. That's why I think it's never, we all the time have time.
Do you see yourself in politics at some point?
Do I?
Do you see yourself in politics at some point?
I'm doing politics. Everything what I'm doing now is politics. I'm sitting here on this stage and it's written Politico.
That's true. That's fair. But let me still follow up. Can you imagine that if things change in Russia at some point, you can even run for a mandate or a position?
For sure, I'll come back home. I dream to come back. It's not a kind. I couldn't say it's nostalgia. I understand that it could take years to come back, but I know about myself. I know about my children that we are dreaming to come back home. We want to live. We all the time wanted to live in Russia. Russia is our country. That's why when I come back, we'll see. Of course, I would love to help my country to become back peaceful, prosperous, and democratic country.
And as long as this is not achieved, I hope you're coming back to Politico and have conversations with us to raise that point. Thank you so much, Yulia Navalnaya.
Thank you.
And we are continuing the program very soon here.
Thank you.
Thank you.